For centuries, the kingdom of Thalassira had feared one thing more than war: the birth of twins. Queen Nerissa, ruler of the oceans and keeper of the royal line, had just defied that law. "To born together will divide the sea," said the law of the trident. "Only one heir may rise." One child was strong, screaming her arrival into the waves. The other lay still, her tiny chest barely rising, both alive, both hers. The midwives stared in silence, unsure whether to celebrate or mourn.
They're both breathing. That means they're both mine.
The queen did not summon the court scribes. No bells rang to announce the birth. Only silence remained. In secret, Nerissa called on the midwife who had delivered them, an old soul, loyal to no one but the queen herself.
"You know what the council will do if they find out,
Yes, they'll demand blood.
and the law will protect them."
Then the law will not hear of it.
She had spent 8 years hoping for a child. The sea had given her 2. She would not offer one back. Naida had not stepped near the palace walls in over 10 years. After her exile, she vanished beyond the outer reefs, living among currents no court dared follow. But Nerissa had sent a signal, an ancient tide glyph, etched in pearl and bound with blood. A message only Naida would recognize, a sister's call for help. And Naida came.
This better be more than guilt.
I wouldn't have called you if it wasn't life or death.
They stood in silence, facing each other across a decade of wounds. Then Nerissa pulled back the cloth. 2 infants, one sleeping, one silent.
If she stays here, they'll kill her. I need someone who knows how to protect what the law would drown.
You chose me because I already disobeyed once.
I chose you because you were right.
The kingdom of Thalassira rejoiced as one name echoed through the water. The queen had borne a daughter, strong and beautiful. The line of succession was secure. The law had not been broken, because only half the truth had been told.
By command of Queen Nerissa and the blessing of the sea gods, Princess Serena is born.
No one asked what else had arrived that night. But far beyond the capital, in a distant reef unknown to nobles, another daughter drew her first breath, unseen, unnamed, and already forgotten. Naida had lived in exile for 10 years, far from crowns, courts, and the weight of the sea's laws. Her home was quiet, her name rarely spoken, but her spirit remained sharp, and her hands were steady. She carried the queen's second-born through her door. She crossed a line no one could ever unmake.
They threw me out for saving a life. Now I'll do it again.
The infant was frail, but she ate. She followed light. She clung to Naida's touch. Naida had cared for many lost children, those orphaned by decree or abandoned by fear. But this one was different. This one carried royal blood. She named her Liana, a name born not from power, but peace.
No titles, no destiny, just a name you can grow into.
Back in the palace, Serena was praised as the heir of hope. The nobles whispered blessings. Musicians played harp shells. But Queen Nerissa never smiled fully. She played her part, but her mind drifted to the child she had sent away. She had one daughter on the throne, and one hidden in silence.
Forgive me, both of you.
The reef was quiet. Liana had made it through another night, her breath now calm, her tiny hands wrapped around the threads of a kelp blanket. She stirred once, then settled again. Naida stayed outside, not to watch for danger, but because she knew what kind of world the child would face, a world that erased names like hers without a second thought. She didn't pray or pace, she just stayed up, because tonight, that was enough. Years passed, and Liana became more than a child of the reef. She became its lifeline. Her healing skills surpassed even the village elders, and though she carried no title, her hands held power. No one remembered where she came from, only that when pain struck, they sought the girl who sang to coral and calmed fevered fins.
How did you know what blend to use?
I listened. Coral tells the truth if you're patient.
Nida never spoke of the past, not of where Lyanna came from or who had named her, but Lyanna had learned to sense silence the same way she sensed sickness, in the eyes, in the weight of a breath.
Aren't you ever curious why I can do what others can't?
You don't need a reason to carry a gift, just the courage to use it.
Sometimes I feel like I'm chasing something.
Then don't chase it too far. Some truths don't return what they take.
One tide brought change. A royal seal, pressed into pearl wax, summoned healers and artists from all corners of Thalassira to the capital, an invitation to the grand festival of tides. And for the southern reef, only one name was written.
By order of the Crown, Lyanna of the Southern Reach is called to represent her reef as Coral Healer.
They know my name?
No reef had ever been enough to hold her wonder, and though Nida had warned her to stay close, Lyanna's eyes always searched the far tides. Now she had a reason to go.
I'll bring back new salves, maybe even royal ones.
You'll bring back something. Just don't lose what you already are.
Lyanna nodded and dove. Her form vanished into the open currents. Nida stood still, heart heavy with truths she never dared to tell. Above the capital reef, coral towers shimmered with anticipation. The Festival of Tides had not been held in over a decade. Now, with her daughter grown and bold, Queen Nerissa prepared her for a public debut as heir.
The people will look at you and see the future, so stand like it.
I won't just stand, I'll shine.
Silks were chosen, pearls arranged, every thread designed to display certainty. Yet Queen Nerissa watched her daughter with eyes that never stopped counting what was missing. One never spoken of. One child in the palace.
She's perfect, Your Majesty.
She's prepared.
Lyanna arrived with a flutter in her chest. Not from fear, but recognition. She had never seen these waters, and yet they stirred something ancient in her blood. She had been chosen to represent healing, but deep inside, something else had called her here. The festival had begun. Across the kingdom, banners waved, but only one girl moved through its golden arches, unaware of who she truly was. And behind her, far beneath the reef, Nida closed her eyes and whispered a prayer the sea had waited years to hear.
Let the tide carry what truth could not.
The palace looked nothing like the reef homes she knew. It shimmered with wealth, carved from golden coral and guarded by statues that pulsed with ancient magic. Lyanna wasn't meant to linger, but her steps slowed as she drifted past delicate spires and glowing mosaics. Her eyes caught a coral mural, two mermaids facing each other in perfect symmetry. She stopped to stare.
They're the same, like they're made from the same shell.
One step took her past the mural. Another turned her around a coral pillar. That's when she saw her. The other girl was swimming toward her. Same height, same skin tone, same hair length, drifting behind her like black silk. The moment their eyes met, neither moved. Serena's jaw fell slightly open. Her fin twitched in place. Lyanna froze, gripping the edge of the corridor wall.
What is this?
You look like...
No, you look like me.
They weren't just similar, they were exact. Eye shape, cheekbones, even a small scar above the right brow. Matching, as if carved by the same hand. They circled each other halfway. The ocean around them seemed quieter now.
You're not from Thalassira. I know every noble by name.
I'm not noble. I came from the reef of Nida. I was invited for the festival.
And they let you walk freely through the palace?
They needed healers to help with the tide blessing. I didn't mean to.
No, it's just your face. It's like looking into polished coral.
Healer Lyanna, we're waiting near the eastern gate.
I have to go.
She's real. That wasn't a trick. She's real.
As Lyanna swam off, Serena remained in place, staring at the space she left behind. She didn't know who that girl was, but she knew this. That wasn't just a reflection. That was a secret the ocean had hidden from her. As Lyanna swam off, Serena remained in place, staring at the space she left behind. She didn't know who that girl was, but she knew this. That wasn't just a reflection. That was a secret the ocean had hidden from her.
There's no way. She looked exactly like me. Why would someone... Who is she?
Lyanna returned late, breathing hard, eyes darting behind her. Naida noticed at once.
You strayed.
I just took a wrong path. I saw someone.
Someone who looked like you.
Yes, exactly like me.
There are strange things in this palace. Don't chase shadows.
Serena didn't mention the girl. Not yet. She had never seen her mother shaken, and she wasn't sure this was the moment to try. But questions bloomed like wild coral in her mind.
Mother, do I have any cousins my age?
No, why?
No reason.
Naida sat beneath the moonlight, arms folded. The past had a way of rising when the ocean demanded it. She looked back at Lyanna and whispered softly, as if the sea itself were listening.
Some truths don't stay buried forever.
Lyanna continued her choral arrangement at the royal garden. The palace had instructed that every bloom be placed precisely for the day's ceremony. Her name had been officially listed as one of the reef's top healers. The event was unlike anything she'd ever been part of. A maid from the palace entered the garden and stared directly at her.
There you are. You're needed in the royal chambers immediately.
You must be looking for someone else. I was assigned to...
You're expected by the queen herself. Don't waste more time.
Without asking more questions, the maid pulled her away from the garden path and toward the inner halls of the palace. Two guards stepped aside without stopping them. A message was passed quickly to the queen's attendants. Lyanna was being treated as royalty, and no one seemed to notice the mistake.
I don't understand what's happening. You're mistaking me for someone else.
The royal seamstresses are waiting. The queen expects you ready within the hour.
Inside the royal chamber, the staff worked with precision. Preparations for the princess's ceremonial appearance were already underway. The queen's attendants entered with Lyanna and immediately began dressing her in sea silk.
She looks pale. Has she eaten anything today? She's just nervous. Every princess is on her first ceremonial debut.
I need to explain something. I think I was mistaken for someone.
There's no time for nerves. The queen herself approved the final design.
A sapphire pendant was fastened around Lyanna's neck. Her hair was styled in the royal braid, and the ceremonial diadem was placed atop her head. Every maid addressed her as princess. No one asked questions. No one allowed her to speak for long. I'm not who you think I am.
We know how overwhelming this day must feel. Just breathe, princess.
The doors to the throne room opened, and Lyanna was led forward. The court stood in full ceremonial formation. Queen Nerissa watched from her coral throne, expression calm and proud.
Presenting Her Royal Highness, Crown Princess Serena of Thalasira.
Lyanna walked forward in silence. She saw the nobles bowing, the queen smiling. No one stopped her. No one saw the mistake. Her name echoed through the chamber, but it didn't belong to her.
You've grown more radiant than I imagined. You honor the crown today.
I don't understand.
You carry the legacy of our line with strength. You're born for this.
Lyanna didn't correct her, not because she agreed, but because no one would listen. The weight of silence was stronger than her words. Her heart pounded. She looked toward the entrance, hoping the real princess would arrive, but the queen had already taken her hand. Inside the grand throne hall, nobles gathered in rows, and the ceremonial tide drums echoed gently. Queen Nerissa waited beside the coral dais, expecting Serena's grand entrance.
Lyanna entered. She looked unsure, but the court bowed in respect.
Come forward, my daughter. The moment has arrived.
Lyanna hesitated, but stepped forward. She didn't understand what was happening. She only knew she couldn't refuse. Before the rites began, another voice cut through the stillness.
That's not me!
Serena stormed into the hall, her eyes blazing. All attention turned to her.
She looks like me because she's trying to be me. She's an imposter.
Guards looked to the queen for direction. The court buzzed in confusion. Lyanna stared back, frozen.
Stop, both of you. You, girl in the robes, what is your name?
Lyanna.
Who raised you?
My mother, Lady Nida, we live in the outer reef.
Queen Nerissa's hands trembled. A wave of old fear returned to her chest. The queen stepped closer. She looked back and forth between the two girls. Same eyes, same features, same voice.
Who is she?
I don't know what's going on. I didn't ask to be brought here. I was chosen from our reef as a coral caretaker.
Queen Nerissa didn't respond. She simply stared, the name Nida echoing in her mind. The chamber grew silent again, every noble watching, waiting. The queen's voice was calm but final. Only Serena and Lyanna remained. The door closed behind them.
When you said your name is Lyanna, I knew what I had done had returned.
You know her?
She is your sister. 18 years ago, I gave birth to twins, but our laws forbade it. They told me I could only keep one.
Nida raised me. She never said anything about this.
She promised to stay silent. I thought you would be safe with her.
You always told me I was the only child, that I was enough.
You were enough, but I carried 2 daughters, and I failed both of you.
See, all my life, I thought I was just a coral healer, that I didn't belong anywhere.
And I thought I was the only heir, the only daughter.
You were both born into royalty, but I broke the truth apart to protect it.
Neither girl spoke. For the first time, they were sisters standing in silence, divided by a choice neither of them made. The queen summoned Lady Nida to the royal court. She arrived without speaking, her eyes steady on Lyanna.
She knows.
Then it's time the rest know too.
Why was she hidden?
Because your law demanded death. She was a child. I chose life.
I gave her to Nida the night she was born. I did what I thought would save her.
Gasps rippled through the court. Some elders looked away. Others stared directly at Lyanna.
So, I wasn't abandoned, but I wasn't wanted either.
You were always wanted. I just didn't know how to fight the law.
I didn't raise you to be a shadow. I raised you to live.
The sea outside was still. For the first time in 18 years, the palace no longer carried a lie. The throne room filled with tension. The kingdom elders stood at the center, holding the staff of the sea spirit. The artifact had chosen rulers for generations. It responded only to the rightful heir of the royal bloodline. The crowd held their breath.
This matter must be resolved before the court. One of you is the rightful heir. Let the staff decide.
Serena approached the staff, eyes steady. She had lived her life as the only princess, trained to rule. The elder offered it to her, and she took it confidently. Nothing happened. The staff remained dark and cold. Whispers filled the room.
There must be a mistake.
There is no mistake. It is the sea's will.
Lyanna looked uncertain. She stepped forward only when asked. The elder extended the staff toward her. As her hands made contact, light burst from its core. The entire hall lit up with a low, vibrating hum that filled the chamber. The staff glowed bright blue.
No, this is a mistake.
The room stayed quiet as Serena addressed the court.
You all raised me as your future queen. I've trained, studied, followed the laws. You can't expect me to just step aside.
Lyanna held the glowing staff, but didn't raise it in triumph. She faced the court without expression.
I didn't come here to take anything. I didn't know who I was until today. This wasn't my plan.
Her voice echoed through the chamber. The glow around the staff remained. Queen Nerissa looked between the two girls, her voice steady.
The sea has made its judgment, but I acknowledge the pain this brings. I will not ignore what either of you has become.
Serena kept her place, but did not speak again. Her silence weighed heavier than words. The elders stood in a line behind the queen. The court remained still. Serena finally turned toward Lyanna.
All my life I was told I would wear the crown. Now they say it was never mine.
No one responded. Lyanna waited, listening. Lyanna did not approach Serena. She remained where she was.
I don't want your life. I was raised outside this kingdom, and I never asked to return. But I won't pretend the truth hasn't changed things.
The room stayed quiet. All waited for what Serena would say next.
I thought you came to take everything, but maybe you didn't.
She stepped forward and extended her hand.
We were never meant to be enemies.
They stood before the court, two daughters, not rivals. The future of the kingdom would begin with them. The ceremonial hall of Thalasera was full. The coral banners of every reef kingdom were displayed. Lyanna stood before the council and the queen. The crown shell of succession rested in the hands of the elders.
Let all who dwell under sea and tide bear witness. Lyanna, born of royal blood, is the rightful heir.
They placed the crown on Lyanna's head. The glow of the crown activated, confirming the sea's choice. Whispers turned to cheers. Queen Nerissa nodded once, not as a ruler, but as a mother.
This kingdom has room for both truth and healing. You are not forgotten, Serena. Your name remains in our history.
The hall grew quiet again.
I believed I was meant to rule. I lived by it. But I will not let that belief turn me against her.
Lyanna glanced toward her sister, but said nothing. Serena stepped beside her and faced the crowd, not with pride, but with resolve. The queen looked toward the back of the hall. Two guards escorted Nida to the front. The hall fell into full silence.
You were cast out by law, but not by heart. You protected a child the kingdom rejected. You gave her life when I gave her away.
Naida held her ground, but did not bow. Her face was lined with years of silence.
I never wanted your crown. I only wanted the child to live. I never stopped wondering if you would come for her.
I was a coward. I let the law speak louder than love. You did what I could not.
She was never a burden to me. She was a blessing. Every time she laughed, I forgot I was exiled.
I cannot change what I did, but I can end your exile. Nida of Thalasera, you are restored, to name, to family, to honor.
The queen stepped back. The hall remained silent, not out of disapproval, but out of respect for the pain spoken aloud. Lyanna turned to Nida in front of the entire gathering.
The sea may call me heir, but she is the one who kept me alive. She taught me what the sea never gave me: shelter, kindness, purpose.
Nida's eyes lowered briefly. Lyanna took a breath.
I don't care who knew first. I don't care what blood says. This woman raised me, and she will always be part of this kingdom because she's part of me.
The court didn't cheer, but no one objected. The queen gave one small nod. A quiet approval moved through the hall. That evening, the celebration began. Tides shimmered with reflected coral light. Dolphins sang from the reef walls. Lyanna stood on the main balcony. Serena remained beside her. Queen Nerissa stood behind both, silent. Nida joined them, standing to Lyanna's left. The kingdom looked up, not at a crown, but at a family that had survived betrayal, law, and silence.
I'll carry the weight of this kingdom, but I'll never forget the hands that carried me.
For the first time in nearly 2 decades, there were no secrets left beneath the sea.
Thanks for watching, Diary Gang. That wasn't just a story, that was a memory. Tap subscribe to join the Diary Gang and keep riding with stories that hit different. Cheers.